more on this. Let's bring in Washington Times opinion editor Charlie Hurt and Turning Point USA founder and president Charlie Kirk. Charlie Hurt, you heard what Jim Jordan, Congressman, had to say about this lawsuit. What say you, sir?
This is insane. This is an explosion of misuse of power by Alvin Bragg, the likes of which we rarely get to see. This is the kind of abuse of power that the founders had in mind when they designed the system that they designed, that put into place all of these balances of power to prevent somebody, a rogue prosecutor like this, from going absolutely berserk, going insane, pushing a partisan agenda to try to punish political opponents. In normal times, I would just sort of laugh and sort of rub my hands together and look forward to what happens to Alvin Bragg. But when you look at the degree to which our judicial system has been perverted by Democrats and by the Biden administration and turned into a weapon to beat up their political opponents, I'm actually kind of worried that maybe, I know the system as it's designed prevents a guy like a lunatic like this from actually getting his way, but I kind of worry that there are others in the system who are so dumb, who are so stupid, who have such low regard for the Constitution that he might actually get away with some of this.
You know, Charlie Kirk, Charlie Hurt, I'm saying a lot of Charlies here, is talking about the perversion of the American Constitution and the American legal system. And I think you can do that only when you have an American populace that don't understand the American system because they haven't been taught civics in school. I know you have a lot of impact in conversations with kids from Turning Point USA. Is there a hunger that you're seeing from young Americans, at least conservatives, to go, how is this supposed to work? What are the rules of the road that our founders set up for us?
Yeah, there's a growing hunger. We just completed our campus tour at Turning Point USA, and in fact, except for one campus for security reasons, we were not able to fit all the students that wanted to come to our campus event. So there is a hunger, there is a thirst, there is a desire. But I have to tell you that it's not just that the people of New York, who Alvin Bragg is a reflection of, it's not that they don't just understand, they have contempt for the American system. It's even worse. It'd be one thing if they were ignorant of it. It's as if they actually think America was founded on racism, colonialism, homophobia, all these, false things about the founding of America. And Alvin Bragg is pandering to a upper middle class elite in New York City that lives on the Upper East Side, that are completely disconnected from the unfortunate crime wave that's happening to New York, and they care about revenge politics. These are people that have not yet come to terms with Hillary Clinton not becoming president in 2016. They thought she was going to be president. Donald Trump stole it from her, in their own words. He won legitimately, obviously, and because of that, they're trying to seek revenge, and Alvin Bragg is a reflection of that. They don't care that New York is becoming an unrecognizable city, which is a tragedy. I love New York, and it's going in the wrong direction. Alvin Bragg is more interested in scoring political points. The founding fathers set up a system, as Charlie said perfectly, of separation of powers and checks and balances. The check and balance right now in Alvin Bragg, the only check and balance is the House of Representatives asking questions. Was the federal government using a local DA's office as a proxy for something they themselves did not think was possible to press charges on? That is something we need an answer on.
Indeed, we do. I have had the opportunity to live in New York City and San Francisco. And if you want to know what this country could possibly look like in a few years, look no further than San Francisco, because San Fran's actually worse than New York City. The Whole Foods flagship store in San Francisco had to close down due to safety concerns 1 year after it opened. Charlie Hurt, this city, it's been a slow roll into hell, but the people there running it appear to be perfectly happy with it. That it's astonishing. I don't mean to go on, but let me just say, they talk about shoplifting. They don't prosecute shoplifters here or there. They don't prosecute them. They don't arrest them. They don't prosecute them. Shoplifting is not a crime, and that is the core of one of the big problems.
And honestly, Dagan, that's why I can't help but sort of think it has to be intentional. These people must want this because they're getting exactly what you would expect to get if you don't prosecute these crimes and you let this stuff go on like this. And we've always talked about how lucky anyone is who is born in America today. And it is true. Anybody who gets born in America today is the luckiest. They won the lottery ticket. But I honestly have to tell you, if you were born in New York City, in parts of New York City, if you were born in San Francisco today, you know what? You would be better off being born in a lot of third world countries than in those places because of the violence, the crime, the purposelessness, and just and like I said, I don't know how it's anything other than intentional by these people.
I would agree with you. And Charlie Kirk, I look at the promises that are made by liberals, all of their great ideas and what they're going to give you is one thing, and then the reality of those promises is San Francisco, is New York City, is Chicago, and it's pretty stark, isn't it?
It really is. I got such a kick today reading the obituary for the Whole Foods market that is closing in downtown San Francisco. I mean, if you really want to get white upper middle class liberals to get really just, let's say, animated, you got to close a Whole Foods. And all this, I mean, where are they going to get their vegan cheese? I have no idea. I mean, you read the quotes in the article, there's like local state reps that are doing interviews outside of the Whole Foods. This is a serious problem. We're addressing it. We're really going to figure out how we're going to clean this up. I mean, hello, the whole city's been going into a dystopian hellscape, and Whole Foods closing, just because of your distribution of, local kale products, you're not going to figure out what's happening. But all kidding aside, what I think is important, and we have to realize, is that these cities were once the best of America. It's where people came from around the world, and they said, this is why we are the envy. And now it's the exact opposite. We're still a great country. But it really is something that is worthy of introspection and reflection. What was once the place we were most proud of is now the place we're most ashamed of. There's something to that, and I'm afraid it's a bad indicator for things to come unless we reverse it.
No doubt about that. Charlie Kirk, Charlie Hurt, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.